A terrifying hypothesis about what happens to Jedi dropouts after they quit the Order has been sparked by Star Wars, The Acolyte. The role that Amanda Stenberg's character Osha, in The Acolyte, plays is distinct. She is one of the few main people who, in her opinion at least, made the decision to quit the Jedi Order on their own. Ahsoka Tano had abandoned the Jedi Order due to her total lack of faith in the organization and everything it stood for, following her erroneous accusation of treason and murder. Osha's precise reason for leaving the Jedi Order is unknown, though. A terrifying hypothesis about what happens to Jedi dropouts after they quit the Order has been sparked by Star Wars, The Acolyte. The role that Amanda Stenberg's character Osha, in The Acolyte, plays is distinct. She is one of the few main people who, in her opinion at least, made the decision to quit the Jedi Order on their own. Ahsoka Tano had abandoned the Jedi Order due to her total lack of faith in the organization and everything it stood for, following her erroneous accusation of treason and murder. Osha's precise reason for leaving the Jedi Order is unknown, though. We are aware that Jedi can, at least partially, isolate themselves from the Force. While hiding on Tatooine, Obi-Wan Kenobi did this. He didn't use his power once more until a young Princess Leia was in grave danger. But that doesn't really explain Osha's situation. Osha feels that her use of the Force has diminished her might. She was in a high-stress position akin to Obi-Wan's, but she was unable to use the Force to save herself when she attempted to escape the prison transport. That shouldn't make sense, but it should validate Osha's theory. Beings that are sensitive to the Force are intrinsically linked to it. They may choose to ignore it or not notice it, but unless something, or someone, is obstructing the connection in some way, that link shouldn't just vanish. They have an intriguing talk regarding Osha's power in The Acolyte Episode 6, Teach/Corrupt, as Kimmer, Manny Jacinto, gently tries to persuade Osha to become his pupil, and maybe more. Master Soul's strength in the Force is very powerful, according to Osha. Kimmer had an odd reaction. "You think that's his strength?" he asks. "Osha, that is your forceful might. You should be taught that by someone." Of course, one could argue that Kimmer is only attempting to put some distance between himself and Soul in order to benefit from it, but the way he said it begs further concerns. How is Osha's strength equal to Master Soul's? Just prior to that, Kimmer considers the unique relationship that exists between a master and their student. For the Jedi, we know it's unlike any other. Years of devotion, trust, and understanding have formed the foundation of this strong bond. Both the Master and the Padawan derive power and knowledge from one another. But what if that was accurate? What if there was more to the relationship between a master and their student than just knowledge and feelings? What if there was a physical tie formed by the Force? One that the Jedi could alter when they felt it was necessary? What happens to a Jedi who breaks away from the Order has not been extensively explained by Star Wars. The Jedi were to blame for Ahsoka's departure. Even though it was heartbreaking, Ahsoka left her lightsabers on her own initiative, and they didn't have the time or means to worry about what she would do next. Leslie Headland, the inventor of the Acolyte, has disclosed, however, that typically, a ceremony is held in which the Padawan voluntarily returns their lightsaber to the Jedi following their decision to leave the Order. This is understandable and not too scary. The Jedi are known for their lightsabers, which stand for peace and optimism throughout the galaxy. A Padawan should stop wearing such a symbol if they are no longer Jedi. But what if that's not the only thing that occurs? I couldn't stop thinking about Osha's shattered Force link and Kimmer's strange remarks. Younglings, teens, and young adults with strong Force abilities who are free to go around without being bound by the Jedi Code or the Order. Would the Jedi desire such people? The majority of students who choose to leave the Jedi Order presumably do so because they come to the conclusion that they cannot survive without family or love. The limitations of the Jedi Order aren't for everyone, and all of those arguments are entirely legitimate. The learners who departed to seek unrestricted freedom, however, and those who reject the Jedi way of life and political judgment, must likewise worry the Jedi. Though I can see where they're coming from, I hope the Jedi haven't gone too far to prevent them from joining the dark side. What if the Jedi somehow absorb a Padawan's connection to the Force through their tie with their master in order to stop the development of additional fallen Jedi, the way the Sith once came to power? This unlikely but plausible situation would explain why Osha doesn't seem to be able to connect to the Force at all, and why Kimmer thinks Sol gets his strength from Osha. While it may seem beneficial to take away a Jedi Dropout's power, doing so also raises questions about consent and violation, which the Acolyte has been addressing with the Coven plot. What authority do the Jedi have to determine a person's status in the Force? Even though it seems stunning, this hypothesis makes perfect sense in the context of Star Wars. The departure of Ahsoka may prove to be the exception. Even if she decided to give up her lightsabers, Anakin Skywalker was still her master. He never did anything but educate her how to survive. Regardless of what the Jedi Council declared, it is highly doubtful that he would have ever consented to somehow take away Ahsoka's power. Viewers get a peek at a distinct aspect of the Jedi in both the Acolyte and Star Wars, the High Republic overall. The High Republic era is set a few centuries before the Star Wars prequel trilogy. At this point, they were perhaps at their most powerful, and they were also more transparent. However, the fissures were becoming visible. They seemed to be pushing their ideologies on other Force users, getting too politically involved in the problems facing the galaxy, and having trouble perceiving the dark side because they didn't want to think it could hurt them. If this idea is correct, stealing a Padawan's Force connection would be a drastic step, but it also tragically makes sense given what we currently know about the Jedi from both Star Wars and Star Wars, The Acolyte. Thanks for watching.